Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to my global audience. Walter Cotton here, and I'm going to make a slight departure here because I was about to go out and play a round of golf when an issue that has just been nagging at me, it actually wakes me up in the middle of the night, compelled me to sit down and put this presentation together for you. Today, we are going to talk about a game changer. We're going to talk about a significant need for a solution at the root cause of the problem that is affecting these United States of America, this great nation. And I'm just going to throw it in your hands, people. I'm just going to do something that's unprecedented in an effort to kind of move America back to the America of old. Because, in point of fact, this America, I barely even recognize anymore. This isn't the America that I remember when you have the kind of black on black crime that we are seeing in our inner cities and underserved communities. When you see the kind of gang activity proliferating with no end or solution in plight, and America that is experiencing the level of concern, dare I say, disrespect on an international stage, the likes of which we've never seen before. This is not an America that I'm familiar with. And as a patriot, a true patriot, I know that it's each and every one of our responsibilities to do all that we can. But as a disabled military veteran, I took an oath to defend this country against all foes, foreign and domestic. And in this particular situation, I see a domestic challenge that I'm blessed with the ability to provide, to apply a solution against at the root cause of the challenge. And therefore, I'm going to introduce that to you today, and I'm going to throw it in your hands. And let me give you a caution. Let me give you a point of reference here, because if I say something during this presentation that offends you, well, that portion of the presentation, that portion of the message was defined for you, because we cannot continue this cycle of insanity that we've been employing in this great nation and expect a different result. I know what you're hearing in the popular media about unemployment being at an all time low, but that's replaced by the fact, and often not spoken to, that underemployment is at an all time high, where mom and dad now have to work two and a half jobs to make enough money to remain just barely above the poverty line. There is a solution that's available to you. But we have to change the way we look at things. We have to be willing to capture control of our own destiny in order to accomplish it. And it starts with you shifting your paradigm about what work and what wealth really means. I'm good in the area of wealth. As a matter of fact, I'm accountable, or I should say, most people who come from the arena that have interfaced with me will tell you that I'm directly responsible for them being the millionaires that they are. And I have been blessed to create a pathway that will allow you to do the same. But what you have to do is you have to get off of your addiction to this idea that a job is going to lead you to the kind of wealth generation that you need to empower multiple generations of your family. Very simply put, just to reintroduce you to me, because you're going to have to introduce me to the people I'm going to point you to in a minute. I'm probably best known for having helped the disabled veteran business community secure over $12 billion dollars in contracts with the federal government. And in point of fact, I'm one of the material contributors to the reason why the government is able to achieve its 23% small business contracting goal, and have been co-author of a critical piece of legislation that empowers you with a new benefit that I want you to leverage against the problem that is facing our good nation. And I'm suggesting that you point your attention towards a more than $300 billion inelastic demand that's available to you today. But the naysayers will tell you, hey, that area is a little bit too complicated. It's government contracting. Oh my God, it's like a maze, if like a Jenga game. If you pull the wrong piece out, the whole thing comes collapsing down. Well, fortunately, folks, I have developed a cookie cutter program that I am going to make available to any underserved community. Let me say that again. I'm going to make it available to the constituents of any underserved community at no cost. This is where you get involved because you've got economic development leaders in your community, whether it's communities in Chicago or communities in upstate New York, communities downstate New York here, Florida, California, everywhere, right, that are promoting retread ideas of economic development solutions that are just ill designed. They're just not designed to produce the desired outcome. And what I want you to do is I want you to go to them and say, listen, if we haven't tried this thing that the bald head guy's talking about, we have not left, or should I say, we have left stones unturned in trying to come up with a comprehensive solution that will solve our problem. Because at the end of the day, this very simple joint venture model that I am pointing your community's attention to empower you with the ability to take the benefit that I codified in law and use it as a demand generator, not a demand generator, use it as a contract capture solution to take the portion of that $300 billion spend that I pointed your attention to in the previous podcast. And if you haven't seen that, shame on you. Go back to the link that you took to get here, subscribe to my page, go back and review that one. It'll tell you all about the $300 billion market opportunity. But the point I'm making here is that you can use your desired share of that $300 billion market opportunity to be a jobs creating agent in your community, not on Wall Street, not on Main Street, but on your street. And I am going to provide you with the information that you need end to end in order to be able to interface with that at no cost. But in order for me to do that, you've got to go to the economic development leaders in your community and you've got to ask them to invite me to come to your community and explain in a fashion that it makes sense how you can employ this natural benefit that you own that's been codified in law. And you have my commitment. You have my solemn guarantee that if I get that invitation, I'm going to land in your community and empower you with a solution that will enable you to take whatever desired share of that $300 billion market opportunity you want. And I say that with guarantee, and use it as a jobs creating solution in your community. Imagine, just think about the size of your community, just think about the makeup of your community. What would a $25 billion infusion of new jobs, a fusion or infusion of new cash flow do for your community? Well, dare I say, dare I suggest that it would represent a game changer. So, what I'm doing in this particular instance or situation is I'm not looking at the fingers that are pointing at the political fiasco that we have going on in this country. I'm not pointing a finger at the social fiasco that we have going on in our communities where the men in blue are shooting the boys in black or the boys in black are shooting at the boys in black. What I'm looking at are these three fingers that are pointing back at me. And I'm asking you to do the same thing because I'm empowering you. No, hey, listen, I have nothing to hide, right? I'm going to give you my contact information. I'm providing information in the public domain that you have the ability to research. You have the ability to check. So this is not one of those. I'm going to teach you how to flip houses or a multi-level marketing thing where you go get 5 people, they get 5 people, and you build an enterprise. This is very basically taking the needs of this great nation and using it, redirecting that annual spend in a way that you can use it to be a rising tide within your own community. And there I say that that is a irrefutable fact if you take advantage of it. But here's some of the barriers you're going to come up against, right? Your own stinking thinking you're going to have to overcome because you are addicted to the idea that a job is going to get you where you want to be. Well, folks, it hasn't happened. As a matter of fact, the power of employment to help you build real wealth has been eroded for decades. And today's model goes a little something like this, and I'm doing air quotes. You go to work for a company, right? You work for them for 20 or 30 years. You retire only to find yourself looking for another job in order to sustain the quality of life you've become accustomed to. And people use, all kind of justifications. I just don't want to sit around the house and do nothing. I want to keep myself gainfully employed. But in point of fact, many of the retirees, again with these air quotes, are out there consuming jobs that is reducing the population of available jobs for those families that really need them. Why? Because something is desperately wrong with the model that we have employed in this America, these United States that we currently have in front of us. And it's up to you and me to redirect that. And what I'm pointing your attention to, again, is an opportunity for us to do a redistribution, dare I say, of contracts that represent more than $300 billion worth of wealth. And that does a couple of things. One, it puts us in a position to have a different level of control over this hydra, right? This enormous animal that we call our government. The other thing that it empowers us with the ability to do, it empowers us with the ability to help in the area of national security by diversifying our industrial base, because right now we have entirely too much of our spend consolidated with a couple of small companies. And they're offshoring revenue. They're offshoring profits and not paying taxes on them. And the government, Congress slamming, gavels down, and they're protesting on the floor. But at the end of the day, they're beholden to those corporations for their campaign contributions, so they can only do so much. So at the end of the day, what I'm talking to you about is a solution that has multiple benefits. It benefits your local community. It empowers you with the ability to build wealth, generational wealth. And again, I'm not talking about ghetto riches. I'm talking about thorough riches here that you can pass on to more than 5 generations of your family. And it empowers you with the ability to contribute to the industrial base, the vitalization of the industrial base in this country, and therefore to the national security interest of this great nation. If you want to take advantage of it, please do me, do your fellow American, do yourself a favor, and contact your local Chamber of Commerce. Contact your community economic development group and ask them if they would provide me with an invitation to come out and talk to your community about how you can take advantage of this wealth transfer. Folks, I'm going to tell you in point of fact, I'm already working with a couple of communities, and I was I won't say dreaming because I was having trouble sleeping last night, but something welled up in my spirit that said, Walter, be the example, right? Be the example that you're asking those people that you're talking to on the internet to be. Be that selfless example that's willing to take the much you have been given and use it as a blessing for them. So I'm doing that. I'm asking you to play your part. I'm asking you not to stay stuck in neutral. I'm asking you to engage in the creation of your own future wealth generating opportunity by simply contacting your economic development people and saying, hey, listen, I heard this guy on the internet, bald guy by the name of Walter Cotton, and he's professing to have an economic development solution that I think might be able to have a omnidimensional impact on the challenges that are facing our community. Can we invite him out so that we can vet what he's talking about? I'm not telling you to believe what I'm saying. I'm telling you to research the attributes of what I'm telling you. And if you do that, the answer about its ability to help you become everything you need right now, and more important, much of what this country needs right now, will reveal itself to you. I promised during the last presentation that during this podcast, I would talk to you about the community of practice, but Spirit led me in another direction. So I beg your forgiveness for my departure. During the next presentation, we will talk about that community of practice you can become a part of. But for those of you that are in these challenged communities, that are in these underserved communities, that need something today, I am offering you an opportunity to get what you need at no cost to you financially. The only cost is your time and energy in motivating your economic development people, your community, to get behind what can be a rising tide that raises everything within its wake. Until next time, this is Walter Cotton saying, I'm out.